Even with sharding, Ethereum would be very good for transactional applications, like for rentals or for other peer-to-peer sharing.
Just to clarify this idea of RAM, is RAM the equivalent to Neo's gas? And if it is that, is it something along the lines of whatever the EOS equivalent of an ERC20 is? And then when you can go to an exchange and you can actually buy a cryptocurrency that is called RAM, or is it an allocation on a machine? And it's kind of like you're renting space.
Think of EOS as a blockchain where you can actually rent your bandwidth based on how much tokens you have. The more tokens you have, the more bandwidth you can get from the network. At the same time, the more you can get allocation of the RAM. So RAM is like an internal currency inside EOS, but it's not an actual cryptocurrency. It's just called currency because you can actually trade it. So it's not going to be like traded. I really hope it doesn't.
It is.
Really?
It is, yes.
Oh man,
Yes.
okay. This is interesting. Okay.
It just went online onto a EOS-based exchange called Chance, because the founder themselves, they bought 1.69 gig of RAM personally, and so opened the RAM trading pair on their trading platforms. So it is right now.
Okay. I hope it doesn't go on Binance though. Oh, yeah. Okay. That is going to impact developers. I mean, it's good to know. Oh, so many.
Yeah. I think it's an EOS newbie question. So I am a bit familiar with Ethereum. EOS when it was launched, it was fundamentally launched as an operating system. That basically, so there is a subtle difference between Ethereum and EOS, right? So my question is, why only limit it to RAM? Because OSs also need CPU cycles, right?
Well, CPU is also another resource that you can buy. Do you know why RAM is the only one that had that issues?
Because the RAM is, they're going to change it after the dawn. So previously the RAM is similar things as the CPU and the network, they're just only state. But since Dan changed the whole pricing and the mechanism of RAM, after the EOS IO 3.0, so they changed the Bancor algorithms and stuff. Yeah. So they changed it fairly close, like 1 or 2 months before the main launch. Yeah, so it's kind of different now.
So I guess my question is, are CPU cycles never going to pop up because they're never going to be used as a token exchange or utility? Because you do need CPU cycles for the last period, right? So I just don't understand the concept.
As of right now, that is not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, like, if most of the, like, here's the thing with an operating system, for a distributed operating system, the more machines there are, the more performance there is.
Yeah.
So in a sense, like, even now with the RAM problem, it can be solved by having more RAM running, because it's like, again, supply and demand. The more RAM there is, the cheaper it gets.
But then the CPU cycles come from block producers. So block producers are part of the network.
Yes.
So it's kind of
I have an opinion, I guess, but I don't know. Like, I feel like block producers who actually made some money from RAM needs to, like, basically use that extra money in order to buy more machines.
Exactly. Some.
Yeah.
Some. Not us.
Yeah.
I guess we need more EOS blocks.
So is there someone in the back part?
Yeah, I don't think I need a microphone, but yeah, so a few questions. First, I mean, for your application perspective, but more broadly from the EOS architecture, is there still sort of a question of like interacting with the off-chain world and getting data off-chain? Are there sort of like baked-in Oracle solutions, so to speak? I mean, can smart contracts make external calls, etc.?
Yeah, so I know for a fact that you can actually do a call to your smart contract from your backend server with extra data. So in a sense, you can like give the concept of an oracle where you can actually inject data into your smart contract at any point in time in order to do like a real life application. You can also have your own centralized systems as well that you can actually sync with a blockchain or whatnot, unless you want to build a fully decentralized system. But you can also benefit from storage from, like IPFS works with any blockchain. So you can always store big data over there in IPFS and store the hashes within, or checksums within your blockchain or smart contract.
Okay, second question, a little bit more detailed, but so can smart contracts initiate transactional calls without being sort of poked, so to speak, on EOS?
Not 100% sure. I can ask.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thanks. I'm sorry, I'm totally disoriented. I've been building things with software for about 2 decades, and there were 2 slides that you had that for me are sort of, they don't make any sense. 2 points. One was that the EOS network has an advantage in that it supports a higher rate of throughput, or whatever you're calling it, 1,000 transactions per second, but it's not tested yet. Maybe that would be like the first thing that I would test if I was trying to deploy to a production system. I would see how fast it works.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that it was not tested on mainnet, but it's tested on like JungleNet or testnet.
3,500 transactions per second.
Oh, so whatever the machinery is that's doing it, it should work. Okay.
It has worked. The same machine will run testnet that are running the mainnet.
Okay.
So the testnet has been tested to 3,500 transactions a second.
Okay, so you've relieved, thank you. You've relieved some